Hello and welcome to another episode of Pop Culture Reacts as we are back in the People's List and we are back with a channel favourite, Immortal Technique, and this time, the fourth branch.
It's quite nice. We did Ren, the Tales of Jenny and Screech, didn't we? And I think the more I listen to Ren, the more I see Ren as the British Immortal Technique, with some obviously very sort of different changes in probably situation and where it was. But it makes me keener to go back and scratch the Immortal Technique itch more often, like almost doing them close to each other, so that I can see whether that truly perpetuates. But yeah, that using music to, I say, get across your message, but like talk about stuff that's going on in the world, but generally talk about it with some fantastically biting lyrics and some great music in the background. Although obviously much more hip hoppy than Ren, like full on in the world of hip hop. But I do kind of like the similarities between the two. And this one, the one we're doing today, Fourth Branch, this is from the same album that had Freedom of Speech on, which is the first one we ever did on the channel. So there's a little bit of...
So yeah, not one that I know, or if I've heard it, I didn't look at what song it was on when Spotify was playing some, if it has, because I listened to the playlist, which I really should plug some more. We have a playlist of everything we've done.
Yeah, I
on
always
Spotify.
forget about that. Good remembering, and we'll try and do that more often. We'll try and push the playlist.
So obviously, Immortal Technique is now in the algorithm of stuff that it knows I listen to. There was some Immortal Technique that came on today because I don't know if you've been on Spotify recently. There's that new DJ thing where it basically picks shit that you've listened to at some point.
Yeah, almost.
Here, have some more.
Has some stuff like what you like, often based off of being a band, and it is tricksy for the way we do this channel, isn't it? Because quite often we leave artists alone to kind of go, no, we'll probably react to most of this stuff, so let's leave it here. And then all of a sudden you're walking down the street and thinking, yeah, I like that, and you're going, oh, you bastards, you snuck one in.
But then I usually forget about it because
bad memory is very very much a safety hatch for the two of us, isn't it?
Just old age. So shall we get on with some Immortal Technique?
Let's pop into the fourth branch. Let's do this.
The new age is upon us, and yet the past refuses to rest in its shallow grave. For those who hide behind the false image of the Son of Man shall stand before God. It has begun. The beginning of the end. Yeah. Voice of racism, preaching the gospel is devilish. A fake church called the Prophet Muhammad a terrorist, forgetting God is not religion but a spiritual bond, and Jesus is the most quoted prophet in the Quran. They bombed innocent people trying to murder Saddam when you gave them those chemical weapons to go to war with Iran. This is the information that they hold back from Peter Jennings, cause Condoleezza Rice is just a new age Sally Hemings. I break it down with critical language and spiritual anguish. The Judas I hang with, the guilt of betraying Christ, who murdered him, stole his religion, and painted him white. Translated in psychologically tainted philosophy, conservative political right-wing ideology, glued together sloppily the blasphemy of a nation. Got my back to the wall cause I'm facing assassination. Guantanamo Bay, federal incarceration. How could this be? The land of the free, home of the brave, indigenous Holocaust, and the home of the slaves. Corporate America, dancing offbeat to the rhythm. You really think this country never sponsored terrorism? Human rights violations, we continue the saga. El Salvador and the Contras in Nicaragua. And on top of that, you still want to take me to prison just cause I won't trade humanity for patriotism. It's like MK Ultra controlling your brain, suggestive thinking, causing your perspective to change. They want to rearrange the whole point of view of the ghetto. The fourth branch of the government want us to settle. A bandana full of glittering Generality, fighting for freedom and fighting terror, but what's reality? Read about the history of the place that we live in, and stop letting corporate news tell lies to your children. Flow like the blood of Abraham through the Jews and the Arabs, broken apart like a woman's heart, abused in the marriage, the brink of holy war, bottled up like a miscarriage. Embedded correspondence don't tell the source of the tension, and they refuse to even mention European intervention or the massacres in Jenin. The innocent screams, U.S. manufactured missiles and M16s, weapon contracts and corrupted American dreams, media censorship blocking out the video screens, a continent of oil kingdoms bought for a bargain. Democracy is just a word when the people are starving. The average citizen made to be blind to the reason, a desert full of genocide where the bodies are freezing, and the world doesn't believe that you're fighting for freedom, cause you fucked the Middle East and gave birth to a demon. It's open season with the CIA bugging my crib, trapped in the ghetto region like a Palestinian kid, where nobody gives a fuck whether you die or you live. I'm trying to give the truth, and I know the price is my life, but when I'm gone they'll sing a song about Immortal Technique, who beheaded the president and the princes and sheiks. You don't give a fuck about us. I can see through your facade like a fallen angel standing in the presence of God. Bitch niggas scared of the truth when it looks at you hard. It's like MK Ultra controlling your brain, suggestive thinking causing your perspective to change. They want to rearrange the whole point of view in the ghetto. The fourth branch of the government want us to settle a bandana full of glittering generality, fighting for freedom and fighting terror. But what's reality? Martial law is coming soon to the hood to kill yo, while you hanging your flag out your project window. Yeah. The fourth branch of the government, aka the media, seems to now have a retirement plan for ex-military officials, as if their opinion was at all unbiased. A machine shouldn't speak for men, so shut the fuck up, you mindless drone. And you know it's serious when these same media outfits are spending millions of dollars on a PR campaign to try to convince you they're fair and balanced, when they're some of the most ignorant and racist people giving that type of mentality a safe haven. We act like we share in the spoils of war that they do. We die in wars. We don't get the contracts to make money off them afterwards. We don't get weapons contracts, nigga. We don't get cheap labor for our companies, nigga. We are cheap labor, nigga. Turn off the news and read, nigga. Read. Read. Read.
I'd argue his meatiest song we've done yet. And, you know, like some of the stuff, obviously, content-wise has been quite harrowing, quite brutal. But I think for, like, I put a little pad down here to write some notes as I went. And within, like, about the first 4 bars, I was like, I ain't going to be able to write notes on this. There's so much going on here that, you know, it would be pish whatever I wrote down, and I think very early and very apparent to me that this is one to pore over and over again for hours to kind of pick out all the references that you're not getting the first time out.
Obviously, this is of its time, because this came 13, 14 years ago, I think. I'm just looking on there.
Yeah.
So obviously around the Iraq War and stuff.
Yeah, and we've done. I can't remember the others, but we've done other ones where obviously he's spoken during this period. I think even in freedom of speech, like George Bush is a big target of his, and probably a big target of lots of people at the time. So yeah.
But you can you listen to that today in today's world with what's going on at the time of recording, because you know things can change by the time this comes out. But it
probably not changed for the better, though.
No, but it's that thing of it literally could. You change a few countries.
Yeah.
In that, and that. It's that thing of this shit doesn't change.
Well, as I say, isn't that the scary truth of this? And I think
Yeah.
probably to get political on something that's clearly quite political, but I think you go back to the history of the human race, and that shit doesn't change. However, I think what we're probably seeing now is an increased frequency, aren't we? Like rather than it being hundreds of years to 100 years of the self-perpetuated conflicts, rotationally we're seeing them within a couple of years of each other, and sometimes simultaneously. But when I say that, not just necessarily happening simultaneously, but starting simultaneously.
And again, in this stuff like the media stuff, and to think this is pre-Trump levels of
Yeah,
media
yeah.
bullshit, and you think that now compared to then, and it is that thing of like you listen to it and go, people were speaking this truth 15 years ago. I guarantee if we look back, obviously Rage in the 90s, there's probably people in the 70s and 80s saying it as well.
Yeah.
It is that thing of like, how is it that so many people see it, but shit just doesn't change?
So is it a case of not enough people see it? So when we say so many people see it, like, is it, we've said before on lots of this stuff, speaks to our kind of worldview. So we see it, or is it possibly what I think is probably closer to the truth? Is you're probably right. Lots of people see it, but do you know what? It's easier to then not look at it because we. God, I hate what I'm going to say here, but we don't really have a lot of influence, do we? We talk about talk about democracy, like one person, one vote, really important thing, and like we all have the power to change the world, but do we? And I think that's quite a scary concept for me, let alone lots of other people. So I think you kind of go, well, if I can't beat the system, do I stay within the system? Or probably in the case of this, do I ignore the system and then just try and get what I want to get out of life? Even if that's sometimes hiding away. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's easier to not look sometimes, isn't it? And that's as much of a problem as not knowing, I guess, and possibly, arguably, even more of a problem because do you not become somewhat complicit in it if you choose to ignore it?
Yeah, it is. It is just that thing of like when this sort of thing in this message in this way, and it's the thing. It's the way that these messages are given out, and a lot of times, how many kids are into hip hop because hip hop is pop now. Hip hop is generically the more
Yeah, yeah,
how in the late 90s metal was a thing because obviously you had new metal being big, and it was pop. It was the popular sub thing for kids. When
to ruin the reaction by going to new metal, didn't you?
it said that was that between 97 and 2000, that was huge. And obviously we had emo, but hip hop has been predominantly in the charts and mainstream since
Yeah,
2000. And you would think that someone gives this message this way. It's like we said with Bren with Money Game 2 and capitalism. This is a easy way for impressionable minds to take in this information, and
yeah,
instead of having your teacher at the front of the class saying all of that, it coming to you in a rap song, you would think that it would permeate a bit more.
yeah. But you have to hear it, don't you? And I think therein lies the problem of going.
Mm.
He isn't big. He's not a big selling artist. I think he has a core fan base that love him, and a big fan base. Don't get me wrong, you know, it's perfectly reasonable. But you know, he's not in the charts, and probably, and I am going to sort of, just to play devil's advocate, going to give a little bit of, I guess, the other side of the coin here, but he's not getting played on radios and in the media because he's attacking the media. He isn't in the studio album system because he attacks the studio album system. Now, here's my devil's advocate, and I don't believe this, but I think, you know, you kind of have to give both sides of the coin. Is he attacking the media, and is he not in the studio system because they rejected him first? You know, and does that put him in there? Now, I don't think so. I think Immortal Technique, this is what he wanted to do, and bravo to him for doing it. But yeah, I don't know. I just think, you know. So I was going to talk about like kind of my perception of the media at the time, but I'll jump back in time anyway and talk about kind of my perception of hip hop. And, you know, like, I got into hip hop like quite young, and there weren't many people I knew who did. You know, it wasn't big in the UK, not bigger in the States, but it wasn't sort of big in the UK. And I think the stuff that got big in the UK, and probably the stuff that got big in the States, was not stuff like this. I think these are the sort of things that, if you, again, you have your proclivities this way, and you want music to do something different to you, but quite a lot of people don't. You know, we go back to the why do people not? Why does it seem that so many people don't know this message? And I posit the idea that people do kind of know it, but they want to hide away from it. Why aren't people listening to this, but listening to, I don't know, something kind of like a little bit more popular or without a message? Because for a lot of people, that's easier. They kind of go, I want to switch off from the world. Like, entertainment for me is switching off. I don't want to think about how bad the world is, whereas quite clearly I do. I switch off by going, isn't life shit? But yeah, but you know, that's why I quite like the idea of and why I think songs like this are really important is I don't necessarily think it has to be big even when it comes out. Now, of course, that delays maybe the awakening for some people, a horrible term, but let's go with it. But it's nice to know that it's there, that someone can hear it at any time. Because as you said, you know, it's no less true now than it was then. Change the name of some of the political people that are being satired and directly criticised, but you know, you are just interchanging names, aren't you?
Yeah.
You know, it's exactly as you say what is going on now, and you know, a horrible thing for that I'm about to say, but why would anyone ever change? Because the political parties and the political powers and the money people and the media have only grown stronger in the last 30, 40 years doing this, and probably become a bit more brazen about it. So, you know, I was saying, like, if I go back to the Iraq War years and around the Iraq War years, and the hard thing is you never know, because I was a lot younger, but I think not only was I a lot younger and stupider, but I don't think I realised quite how bad the media was. I think at that point I had convinced myself that there was small pockets of bad media, and if you avoided them, you were fine. But most mainstream, and when I say mainstream, big media outlets were still built off the tenets of journalism, the tenets of let's find the truth, let's discover the truth, and of course, you know, your entertainment side of it being, you know, we're all good guys, really. Whereas, you know, I think I don't necessarily think it's gotten more nefarious. There's just more of it. So I think now it's really hard. Like, imagine if you were a 15, 16-year-old now, and for any 15, 16-year-olds now, good luck to you. Because how the hell do you find anything that isn't
Skewed.
opinion? Yeah. Like, and whichever opinion it is, but how do you actually discover something that is trying, at the very least, to try and find a well-rounded message? I think ultimately you are stuck in this world now where it's as important to be as controversial, or as we say, like I'll have a pop at the right. I prefer having a pop at the right to the left, so let's go with the right. But you know, the amount of what I would say is relatively quite extreme far right media now, and when I say that, like TV channels, like
national
actually
newspapers.
yeah, but you know, like just dedicated to reporting things as news when they are opinion. And I you know, I picked on the right, but that, you know, the far left, the left, the right, the middle, there's not a lot to differentiate between them. Of going, when did facts cease to matter?
Mm.
Like, and my version of the truth matter the most. And of course, you know, I say this as a human being who, we do this and we talk about our opinions on things. And I know sometimes they're unpopular. I know sometimes we've been criticised in the comments. Oh, luckily, more praise and criticism. Thank you very much, everyone. You're lovely people. But I think for the most part, we do try and when we remember to kind of go, this is just an opinion. Like when I say something's bad, it's bad for me. And don't get me wrong, I do think there's some intrinsically bad things that you bring along every now and again. But joke. But you know, like there's a difference. Like, and I think yes, we live in this media-driven world. But when I say media-driven world, of course, I think the truth of it is that it is a combination of driven by the media, but the actual drive being as it ever was. Here's we go back to the beginning of time: control, greed, power, money,
Pretty
and you
much,
know,
yeah.
yeah, and I think scarily, we've just spent a very long time not mentioning the song. But I think I was going to say, I think for me that's part of the power of this song is that it should. This is
This is a
entertainment that
conversation.
drives conversation. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
this is a conversation starter for what the song is about. Um, you know, we've done plenty of Immortal Technique, so I will touch on the song bit here. And musically, very stripped down, works perfectly for the song because the message is the important way. The
Oh,
way
and
that
by
he
the
rap,
way, I love that sample, mate. And I'm gonna go
yeah,
and find where that sample is from and listen to that. That Latin guitar that was playing in the background.
yeah,
And of course, you never know with a sample how much of it is, you know, 3 seconds of a song and the rest of the song's nothing like it. But yeah, I'm hunting that sample down after this and finding out what it's from.
yeah. And it said with his delivery, the way that he raps is we've said it before. You know, the the unregular and I use the word abnormal, but not in a ooh bad, but because it goes against normality of the way that he rhymes words and things like that, and is
Yeah,
happy
finding a
to
way to make the lyrics work in the confines of the music and not
yeah
being afraid to extend and alter the alliteration of the word to make it deliver the message and be in line with the music. Yep, absolutely spot on.
you know, and it's that thing with Immortal. He always does this, and it's always great. But I always find myself with his stuff. I'm more drawn to the message or what it's about,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that being the the meat of it more than it. You know, I hate to say it takes a back seat, the music and the delivery and stuff, but it shouldn't because it always he has this ear that just picks something that's really understated but perfect.
And I think what's said about like the connection to Ren, and I'm going to hammer back into that of going. That's why I think they're so sort of comparably modernly of going the 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 song, the music, the delivery are all tools to help the message, but they're really good. And I think the only thing I do is like I do think like with what Ren is doing with guitars, etc., etc., etc. I think he's found a way to have that pared down music, but probably with a little bit more oomph and a
Mm.
little bit more creativity in it. But yes, it's the key of going. I'm here to talk about something that I think is really important that I want you to talk about, and the sum of all its parts really service that in a really nice to listen to way. Using the word nice to this song, it sounds a bit reductive, but yeah, really nice to listen to way. But yeah, I don't know, just but without ever overshadowing, without destroying it. You know, you come in with like some big pissing New York boom bap beats on that, and I think
You lose it.
you
lose the
lose it.
message.
Yeah. And you know, as I say, there's so much to pick into there. I mean, I thought like after that we'd be picking through the lyrics, but to be honest, I think that's probably a podcast, a show for another day, picking the meat out of this one because again, it's not. I mean, it's 5 minutes 18. But I actually think the amount of content he delivers in there, without ever losing me either, like it was never a point where I'm just going, yeah, okay, I get it. I think everything is told in such a honest, by someone's perception, going back to what I was saying earlier, but honest, earnest reflection of how they see the world, and to a large part, an honest and earnest reflection of how the world is, because there are things that are contained with this that I think are undisputable, irrefutable, but also flavored with kind of opinion. But yeah, you know, it's, I don't come out of this and go, oh, fact check this, and I reckon 99% of it's bollocks. I reckon fact checks this, and 50% of it is proven fact, with the other 50% being there's some really good evidence to suggest the rest happened as well.
Yeah. So we do have some more in the list for Immortal Technique, but any others, get them in there and they will get put into the list. Because we do love a bit of Immortal Technique, and you know, if we have loads and there's, you know, this level of depth, and we might have to have a new side project of, you know, hour-long debates on the truth and meanings behind lyrics.
Well, and you know, like it hopefully gives you guys a chance to, if you haven't all picked up, learn a little bit more about us and the way we see the world.
Yes.
Join us, save the world, because I ain't going to, so I need someone else to save it for me. Can't bother to leave this room, let alone save the world.
So, as always, comments down there. YouTube things, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. And until next day, good morrow.